Hi, and welcome to another edition of Health, Nutrition and I. And today we have a very special guest, Gul, and she needs no introduction. And she really, when it comes to fitness, walks the talk. So, welcome, Gul, and it's a privilege to have you here. What brought you to me in the first place?
I think always being open to learning and seeking intervention when what you know doesn't work is what brought me to you, and that's what's always worked for me.
So, what didn't you know?
I didn't know what was happening to my body. As somebody who's been fit and pretty much the same size since I was 20, I was struggling to feel the way I normally felt.
Health, Nutrition and I with Ishi Khosla. Produced with support from the Illness to Wellness Foundation.
There was no real change in the input-output equation, something I'm acutely aware of. I've been athletic all my life, even as a child, and then from when I was 20.
Input, sorry, I'm interrupting you, but the input output equation, I need
Yes,
everyone to understand that.
So, I think there is a certain...
Calorie in, calorie out.
I don't see it in terms of calorie, but I see it more in terms of the fuel you put into the body, because ultimately the primary role of anything you eat is actually fuel. And being aware of that is, another subject, of course. And then the fuel expenditure bases your requirement, whether you're studying. I mean, I've spent 10 years of the last 20 years studying. So there is a certain load when you're preparing for exams, be it my law exams, be it my master's exams or my pilot exams. So I'm cognizant that even the brain needs fuel. So when I say the input-output equation, I'm essentially referring to what I put into my body in terms of fuel and what is the output in terms of exercise or...
Whether it's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Whether it's doing, right. So I would say about 3 years ago, I suddenly felt that this equilibrium that had pretty much stayed for the last 21, 22 odd years was just a little out of whack. And I've had the privilege of being able to consult some very knowledgeable people, one of them being Pooja Makhija, who is a renowned nutritionist in Bombay and also a very dear friend, back when I was maybe 25, 26, to understand how to program my diet, how to eat. Because that doesn't come naturally to us. It's like today's school kids are being taught, at least the school that my son goes to, the importance of a balanced nutrition. Of course, you were taught in school that you have carbohydrates, minerals, proteins, fats, and so on and so forth. But how to really construct a balanced plate and the emphasis on it, I feel is more in my son's school than it was in any of the schools that I went to growing up. So I think Pooja helped me when I was about 25. 24, 25 is when I probably went to her to understand that, for vanity, like 2-3 kilos lose karna hai.
But it worked for you then.
It did, and then I also supplemented myself with more reading, more hit and trial, and understanding how my body responds to exercise and the kind of food that works for me. I mean, ultimately, all of us are at some level slightly different. So you have to figure out what works for you
Really hugely
and listen
different.
to your body.
Yes.
And listening, my husband keeps saying, I don't feel like eating. And I was like, ye kya hota hai? Matlab, most of us eat whether we feel like eating or not. So I think what I found, to come back to the question, what I found was that whatever I'd been doing that kept me a particular size and feeling a particular way
Wasn't
happening. I mean, I just felt like my rings wouldn't come off, which is evidence
What
of...
age was that?
I would say 42. Yeah. 42. And this after being in the best shape of my life all through 41 and 40. Ironically, I was fit, I had so much vitality, I had good strength, good endurance, great mobility. So in my head, I had these parameters: strength, endurance, and flexibility. And I was hitting the standard that I had set for myself. And then come 42, 43, none of that is working. I mean, I'm fine.
So important for our listeners to understand that the body is undergoing changes, and it could be hormonal, it could be many others. when we look at the gut, we understand what's going on.
So I had no idea about gut health, frankly.
There you
So
are.
the whole world was talking about inflammation and gut by then. And it's also sort of coterminous because around the time that I was beginning to feel like something's wrong, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I was sticking to my playbook of eating with awareness, focusing on nutrition and minimizing indulgence. I mean, of course, we're all human beings and we want to indulge, but the kind of aesthetic goals I've kept for myself all my life necessitate a certain permutation combination of nutrition and indulgence. So I regulate my indulgence. I'm aware of the fact when I'm indulging. And my primary goal with food is nutrition and to fuel my body for its optimum performance. Now, all of that, the same permutation combination that I had been following, was not working. I would start the day normally, and then by the end of the evening, my jeans would get tight. Not eating anything remarkably different from what I'd been eating for 2 decades plus.
And that didn't happen earlier?
And that didn't happen earlier. And again, because I like to think, by flattering myself, that I'm acutely self-aware, physically, and then much later I realized also mentally, which of course was another whole vertical of awareness, because physically being aware and mentally being aware are two very different things. And that's when I just kept struggling. I kept trying to find ways to eliminate certain food groups. And I tried a lot of things, and then finally...
What did you eliminate?
What did I try? I tried eliminating starchy foods, carbs, which obviously is a great go-to over the years. You know, when you feel like you are... you want to shed a couple of kilos and you've been on a holiday or you've overindulged. Cutting carbs for 3 to 4 to 5 weeks to get back to equilibrium, and then reintroducing them in the right quality and the right quantity is what's helped me be the same jeans size from when I was 18, 19 to pretty much now. I'm still wearing the same jean size. But I'm aware of when it's not fitting comfortably and when it fits comfortably. So I would do that, and then maybe 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 days later, when I would reintroduce certain food groups, I would find that I'm again bloating. And then I started moving away from wheat and trying my experiments with rice. But I would still be struggling with a lot of water retention. So my go-to mantra is, if I'm feeling like the weighing scale is going to terrorize me, which it does, because my weight fluctuates as much as 4 kilos.
Really?
In a month.
In a month?
Yes, in a month. I mean, it could be up to 4 kgs. So then I check, how are the rings fitting? Are the rings, my wedding ring and my engagement ring, are they fitting okay? Yeah. So like I have less water than otherwise. But otherwise my fingers become like sausages. And I couldn't understand. Of course I knew that it could be salt. But why suddenly now? I mean, it's the same thing. The change. Yeah. Why not then and why not now?
Yes.
And then that led me to your door, given your immense body of work, given your stature, given your reputation, to try and deconstruct, and also given that you would have also been through this phase yourself.
You're absolutely right.
Which is really important.
Yes.
It's easy to have a pontificating expert who hasn't yet been through that phase of life, which all women go through, be it hormonal, be it environmental, mental.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that was really what to solve for what was going on.
So you're really hitting the perimenopausal, the so-called, the much
talked about
and the much feared menopause. And you're absolutely bang on when it comes to this, because that was a time when I actually started making those changes for myself. Not at 43, but maybe at 48, 49, when my own work was not working for me. And I realized it was a food sensitivity. And why did I become so sensitive was because my body was undergoing a change. And menopause is all about that. Perimenopausal is a prelude, run up to menopause, but the hormonal changes kick in, and I think that is an important message for all those women who are struggling with fat. And to be honest with you, Gul, I would tell you that as a practitioner, we are so hardwired into science and calories, and it should match up. And I knew it was never the case, but the fact that if women are gaining weight during menopause time, I would just squarely blame them. They are just eating too much, or they're just lying, or they're just partying too much. And that's why they're gaining weight. The maths has to add up. Something is wrong in what I'm hearing from them. And when it hit me, I realized, there is merit in this, and this is real. Menopause is real. I didn't believe in hot flushes because I never had any. But yes, so yes, to your point, these things are real, and people should, before they get out of shape, before you get into plus 10 kgs, the first signs, like I love what you say, I'm so self-aware for that fitting of the jean. It's not a change in size. Is it a arm well? Is a thing which, so do weigh yourself regularly, be aware of how your body is behaving before it's too late, and then you need to go on a complete radical management. So I really feel that's a very strong and important message. And I ask a lot of my patients, you are 100 kilos. It didn't happen overnight. It's something was leading to it. Why didn't you wake up earlier? So that is important. And weighing yourself on the scale is not only about vanity. And an important message here is that when you are going through these changes, these are also going to be translating into health compromises, which we don't think. We just think it's all right, but right from getting into high blood pressure or getting into an autoimmune problem, when your gut is undergoing negative changes, you are in for anything which is genetically in your blueprint. So, it is way beyond just those genes and the sizes. So, and you see that, even after pregnancy, a woman undergoes a lot of gut changes. And you have postpartum depression, it's real. You have women getting into autoimmune problems post-pregnancies and, developing thyroids and arthritis, etc. So before you get there, address it and the red flags the body is giving you. So watch your weight, watch your waist. Right. Is a good one.
Health, Nutrition and I with Ishi Khosla. Produced with support from the Illness to Wellness Foundation.
I'd like to ask you, you have chosen your friends, I'm sure. So in food and diet, what would you look at as your biggest enemy or enemies?
So beginning this conversation about food, because that's what we're really talking about, I think understanding which foods help me and which foods to stay away from, especially now. So I think one big revelation that came when I started consulting you about a little over a year ago was that things that didn't trigger you earlier are capable of triggering you now. Right? And when I say that, I say that with innuendo, because things, not including to food, even circumstances which earlier would not trigger you, you are getting triggered by them now because your mind space is in a different space. So you have to factor that in. I did a lot of mental work as well around the time that my body was going through these changes, because I didn't want to be blindsided mentally the way I was blindsided physically. So I wanted to be ready for what's coming, which meant that I had to acknowledge that they are not triggering me. I am getting triggered by them. So the food is not triggering me. I am now getting triggered by that food.
That's a very beautiful way of
and
putting
I try
it,
and tell
yes.
my son this as well.
So the food is not bad. It's your body which is losing tolerance.
Somebody's just going to be this way.
Yeah.
And suddenly that person is triggering you. No, you are getting triggered by that person. So I've tried to be very conscious, and I don't succeed all the time. I mean, it's a work in progress. But I try and identify that, thanks to you and the learnings that you've given me, that I have to identify what are the things that I can get now triggered by. Despite having eaten gluten all my life, I am now getting triggered by gluten because it immediately causes me bloating. Of course, I have a binge out. My brother and I together, and my brother's also been to you, are the most notorious bad eaters. We eat with perfect discipline when we are together when we're not together, but you put us in a room together, we will just eat so badly together.
Really?
We just like that. So sometimes we'll order something and it'll be so bad that we need to order something else to feel less bad about what the quality of the
partner
food.
in
Like some
crime.
dessert is so bad, we have to order another one to have the final good.
So it's a childhood thing.
I think we do actually. It isn't, because we didn't have access to so much as as growing up as kids. We came from families. We came from a family where desserts were not part of everyday life.
Okay.
I mean, we couldn't just go out and have ice cream whenever we wanted. It was sort of stipulated. So I don't think this kind of indulgence that we now do, we would go through a tub of ice cream together. And then we'll both be like, aye, hi. It's literally like that, because we
Bahut
literally
kha
can burst. But coming back to what I was saying, that I've realized that after having eaten a certain kind of food earlier, which didn't bother me, now I get bothered. If I have excess consumption of sugar, definitely gluten. And as a Punjabi, we grow wheat. I mean, imagine having to deal with the fact that
I remember you mentioned that last
we
time.
grow
You know,
wheat. I mean,
grow wheat.
we grow wheat on the land.
Yeah.
And
if I have to
how will I stop?
forego
But
it,
then that's what I'm getting triggered by wheat now.
Yeah.
And I remember when I spoke to you, I had told you that I've anyway eliminated my carbs to some extent to try and triangulate what is the matter with me. And what you said was so interesting. So what you said was, when your gut is inflamed, even if you avoid gluten for extended periods, but then have the occasional slice of bread, let's say every once in 10 days, or a bit of pasta, that just about healed scab gets ripped right back.
I
So
call
you
it
have
bombing your gut again. It's like a bomb.
So
All the healing that you good work that you've done.
So even the fact that I was so sparing with the use of wheat, I wouldn't have chapati, I would have more of rice, but the odd sourdough slice every third, fourth day. So I wasn't giving my gut adequate time to heal completely.
Yeah.
I think
You've really done a great job of insights and learning.
I mean, I've tried. So now I will still have the occasional slice of pizza, but I'll be prepared for the water retention, which is going to come immediately, and then the bloating that's going to come immediately. And I'll really make sure that I don't do this to myself for the next few months, because it takes me up to a week
Maybe longer.
to recover. No, I'm talking about just the.
Internally, yeah.
I wasn't coming to internally.
Yeah.
It takes me a week to recover from the bloat and the water retention caused by one bad meal.
And may I add here that when I see my patients doing that, it comes with more baggage. It comes with an increased appetite.
Sorry, say that again?
It comes with an increased need for food. The volume of food that you need, it grows, your appetite grows. You have cravings. You have dips in mood.
But is
poor
that because,
sleep.
sorry to interrupt, is that because the sugar and the wheat/gluten consumption is causing a fluctuation in the insulin levels and the blood sugar levels?
It plays havoc with everything, your hormones, because your microbiome is controlling your hormones. So if that is out of balance, everything that it controls is going to get affected, right from your mood to your sleep. And these are the 4 or 5 things I ask my patient. And when my patient comes to me craving and saying, I need a change, I can't deal with this, the level of satisfaction and happiness is low, you have cheated. And 10 on 10 times, Gul, I am right. Because I can see the behavior. When they are in control, I'm not craving, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling on top of things. And, 8 weeks into the diet, they come back saying things which are different. I know something has gone wrong, and you check it out, and it's there. Something that they ate was not right for them.
So check it out.
So
I want to add something here. Something that's really worked for me, I mean, that was your first question and we've sort of gone all over the place, meandered, is logging food. I have logged diligently for like 20 years. Not because of, and again, not because of any calorie counting, just to instill awareness and discipline.
Amazing tool.
20
It's
years
an
I've been
amazing
logging
tool.
food. And like, for example, I've taken a break for like 2 months, I haven't logged. But every time I need to bring discipline back into my eating, which is a function of awareness. I can't be disciplined about not knowing what I've not done right.
Yeah.
So to bring discipline back, I start writing what I've eaten. And you're absolutely right. I think when you're all over the place, then your cravings go up. There was a time when I was walking into the kitchen and just snacking. Of course, I was snacking healthy, but too much of healthy is still a load on the body. Like I would
Totally.
go and take a fistful of trail mix 10 times a day. Like
Yeah.
10 is a lot. Normally, I do one fistful at like mid-morning and one fistful at my evening tea time. But then when the discipline goes for a toss, then it all begins to sort of get haywire.
And your need for that increases when you cheat.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Your appetite goes up and your cravings go higher. And I think there is so much learning here. And because we spoke about wheat and gluten, I just want the audience to also know that just taking it out is not going to do it. What you're substituting and how much of carbohydrates. I could be loading up on rice and bad food just because I've taken out gluten, and that's not going to cut it either. So you have to make the right choice of carbohydrate or your grain, the right timing, and of course the right quantity is very important. And here, one very important thing is when you say, for instance, whoever is listening is going to substitute rice, the equation is very simple. One average sized chapati is equivalent to half a cup of rice, which is literally, if this is a cup, that much of rice. Not that much,
Right.
but you need that much and more to fill up because it's not that filling. So that's where they go wrong, and they would blame
Portion
rice.
control.
Yes.
I think that's, again, I actually want to talk about two more learnings I had from you. One is noticing the signs of tummy inflammation. I'm going to come back very quickly to portions, because portion control is super important. I mean, a lot of us are eating without realizing portion. I see people eating so healthy, but like their plates are like, I have friends who...
Bottomless pits, I call them. They just never full.
The composition of the plate is fantastic. The proportion is just off. And it's not on indulgence day. It's every day.
Yep.
And I think that's one awareness that needs to come in. I mean, you can start by weighing your food initially, or measuring it with a certain bowl size. I actually brought in portion control in a very interesting way. I'm always looking to learn new things about health, fitness, diet, both, again, health, wellness, fitness, mental wellness, all of that. So I was on an expedition about 2 years ago with a nutritionist, young lady. It's about 32, 33. So the reason I'm saying that is because she wasn't adequately practically qualified, perhaps, to give me inputs on the phase of life that I was in. Practically. Theoretically, of course, but maybe not having been through it herself, like you yourself said. And she said, portion control. Send me a photo of your plate every day. And she said, your portions are too big. So I said, what's the ideal portion? So she said, in her, I mean, and you could agree with that or probably help me understand it better. So she said the ideal portion of rice is between 50 to 60 grams, along with it being fortified with a healthy portion of vegetables and dal. When I measured that, it was like you said, it was eye-opening, because I had that kitchen scale. I'd never put it to good use. So for a week, I measured my quantum of rice and dal and everything. And I used to log it in an app called Healthify Me. It really helped for me to understand portions. And I don't log the app every day. I log on a simple note in my iPhone. I just go there and just write my date. And you've seen my log. It's every day from the time I wake up to the time I sleep. So
It's like, the
portion
log
control.
is like a mirror on the wall. You watch yourself and you see yourself and you know what the problem is. If you see your diet, you know where the problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything must be logged. Not like
Yes.
what you like to log.
No, that of course.
The other thing that I learned was, so portion control, I mean, I was already aware of portions by the time I came to you. But I think identifying the signs of gut inflammation, or I feel the word gut inflammation is really like just being used all over all the time. But let me just say, something not right in the gut, something not right in the tummy. So a bloat is not normal. Unnecessary water retention is not normal. I'll remove water retention from the conversation because that's largely hormonal and salt and soy induced, which is what you told me again.
Inflammation induced. You must know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a
So-
sign that the body is inflamed.
So, okay. So
You can see those
So
cheeks
water
and those-
retention is also part of inflammation.
Of course.
I thought just the bloat was part of inflammation, both together and individually.
Yes, it is a sign of inflammation.
Together and individually.
Yes.
Right. So
A bloat could be a combination of gas and water retention.
again, learning something again today, as always. For me, there was a period where I was lean, really lean, about a year ago. After having brought these changes, I think there was these 3-4 kgs that were bothering me, while still being able to fit into my jeans. I'm very athletic and I have very high muscle mass because of having trained since I was maybe 14 or 15. So my clothes continue to fit me even when I'm 3 to 4 kgs over my normal weight. Now, whether that weight is water weight or...
Is that because of stretch jeans?
No, not because of stretch jeans. It's just because of the fat just sits very uniformly all over the body.
And
that's why I tell people strength training is so important, because otherwise I'm not a doctor, I'm not a
no, but you're right.
but for me,
you don't have to be a doctor to
I
know
remain
this.
in proportion, even if I haven't gained 10 kgs of late, but by and large 4-5 kgs, I also can't tell the difference I've gained weight unless I wear jeans. The dress will still look flattering, because I don't get fat in certain, maybe it's a body type, but I attribute it to high muscle mass.
But this is a very important nuance in our conversation today.
Really?
Because I feel that the clothes are a great reflection of your body size, and when you're wearing just saris and just those
Salwar
loose
kameez.
things, you never get to know.
Not a fan of this anti-fit movement.
And I'm not
at
saying
all.
that's bad or good, but I just say that you need to have something on your waist to tell you.
Yeah.
And those garments which are so
This whole
flexible,
again, we're digressing from the main conversation.
But they don't tell you, and that's
I'm
that's
not
how I
a
explain.
fan of this anti-fit movement of just wearing loose clothes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it doesn't work for my aesthetic.
Self-awareness.
I think
it
also
takes away
aesthetic.
from
I
that.
work really hard at being fit, and if you can't see that, then what's the point?
If you have it, you
Yeah,
should.
so coming to so 3 to 4 kgs, I can still wear the same jeans. I'll be uncomfortable, or maybe I could tell I'm not looking really great in them, but I could theoretically still wear them. Now, what I realized last year, that I had the 3 to 4 kgs that I was holding on to, which was because probably my stomach was inflamed, and because remember we did all the tests. Everything was within the spectrum except for the IgI.
IgG.
That shows it.
Yeah,
What does that show? Allergy.
it does. IgEs.
That's the only thing that was off, and that's when you suggested try and completely eliminate gluten family and soy from the diet, which I did. And what I found was I quickly, over a period of about 2-3 months, shed those 3-4 kgs. I didn't even realize when I did. Then I was lean, and then I went on a holiday and just indulged, had the occasional slice of pizza like every other day, and probably a glass or 2 of beer as well. I'm not, again, a fan of alcohol consumption. I think that's the other enemy that I like to stay away from, because it just is not good for the body. It's not good for the mind at all.
Because, alcohol in its own way, and beer particularly is barley, so it's gluten. It will bloat you.
So I stay away from all these things. And yet I was lean. And I was just feeling exhausted and tired. And then you said, do all your tests. And I found for the first time in living memory, my hemoglobin had fallen to like 10.
Oh,
And obviously D3 and B12 were also low.
yes, I remember.
And then you said, check your food log. And you found these occasional gluten bits.
Yes.
And without any additional supplementation for iron, within 6 weeks of just completely with extreme
Clean
discipline, removing gluten, and of course taking D3 and B12 supplementation, my hemoglobin was back at 13.
That is incredible.
And when I spoke to
That
my
is
doctor,
such an important
he
message
said,
for our country.
absorption is happening in your gut. The one sign that something is wrong. No, I had no physical symptoms because I was lean. I wasn't the 3-4 kg overweight. I didn't have much bloat. I didn't have much water retention. It was winter. And he said, well, looks like there's an absorption issue, and the absorption is happening in your small
small intestine.
small intestine. whichever intestine.
Small.
And if you really want to fix that, there's a doctor, my friend who's a MD internal medicine, and he said the best way to do that is caffeine, gluten, lactose. And I was like,
I didn't put you off.
I know you didn't.
And neither did I put you off lactose.
But he
I
said,
mean,
if you want to
dairy.
quickly heal it, and I think for me, that was a real learning that sometimes there can be inflammation which has no outward symptoms.
Yes, and see,
And you only find that, I was just exhausted.
that's the case
exhausted.
with everybody. Oh, it's not bothering me. I'm fine. Is this for everybody? I don't know, because by looking at you, I don't know what's inside. And you could be dropping dead. But you're looking great, but
Right.
if something is off, you can have a heart attack without your. And we're seeing those kind
Yeah,
of pictures.
Health, Nutrition and I with Ishi Khosla. Produced with support from the Illness to Wellness Foundation.
You've been so aware, so self-aware, and it's important for you mentally and physically, like you said. Do you think it's a lot of hard work?
No, I don't think it's a lot of
Or
hard
do you
work.
think that pill will cut it for you?
You mean Ozempic or Munjaro?
And the
What is it?
likes.
Monjaro?
And the likes.
What is it? Mohenjo-daro? Monjaro.
No, it's Monjaro.
I heard something really, really valuable. So coming back to, taking 2 steps back, I'm very, on my good days, and I would like to think that I have 8 out of 10 good days. I'm very conscious of all consumption. Consumption of food, consumption of drink, consumption of thoughts, consumption of content.
Amazing.
And I regulate social media to a 1-hour window in the whole day. My Instagram is locked. My Twitter, my Facebook, my Pinterest is all locked. It opens for a very brief window and then it just goes off. And then it's a real task
Such
unlocking
an important
it.
tool, yeah.
And I found something, and I can't recall the name of the athlete who said it, but he said, discipline sets you free.
Yes, I heard
Because when
that.
you don't have discipline, you are enslaved
Yes.
to
bad habits.
to
Yes.
mood swings, to temptation, to
I
all
heard
kinds
that,
of
and I
things.
found that very insightful.
So, to answer your question, is it easy? I think building discipline takes some work. Because discipline brings you consistency. Consistency brings you the kind of satisfaction that you need in life, because nothing comes without perseverance. Also, discipline is there every day, whereas motivation is only there on some days. So the discipline to live in a particular way, sleep at a particular time, wake up at a particular time, eat the same kind of food, or whatever kind of food is that works for your body. But being disciplined about it is really important, because in any of these consumption patterns, and I'll also extend one more thing, the consumerism we're doing. Pasand aaya kuch, thak order kar diya.
Instant
I
gratification.
don't do that. I put
24/7.
things in my cart and only check out once in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because by then I may not want it anymore. I don't order anything
I'm learning from
at all.
that.
And this new age pill, be it an Ozempic or Monjaro or
And the likes.
and the likes, they are telling us that there are quick fixes to deep-rooted problems and deep-rooted anxieties that need actual hard work. We all make peace with the fact that as we grow older, we must put on weight. I have a friend, both of us were the same size when we were 30, about 15, 16 years ago. And we keep sending each other our weighing scale photos. She's like, thoda to chalta hai, thoda to chalta hai. I'm like, no. Where does it say that you can't be the same weight as when you were 30? What is
That's a
this
sign of
allowance
good
you're
health.
giving yourself?
Yeah. At this point, I must tell you this, that even the armed forces have their height and weight standards,
Yes.
which have undergone revision because people are unable to meet them. That's a red flag.
Which is a problem. I
Yeah.
completely agree. There's no way.
There's something which is going on.
Why do you need to be... Okay, so physical performance, so the armed forces, fitness and health and weight standards, with age, your performance in terms of your 5-kilometer battle load run, BPT, battle proficiency test, which is with full battle load in those really uncomfortable DMS boots, your timings undergo change with age. 5 kilometers, I remember for getting a satisfactory for infantry is supposed to be 28 if you are under 30. Excellent is 22. But as you grow older, that number changes. That I agree with.
Which
because
is
you
fine.
can't do a 5K if 22 is excellent at 25. Then I would say 27, 28, whatever the chart is. That chart I completely agree with. But I wasn't aware that higher weight is acceptable. I wasn't aware of that. I knew about this
They
chart.
had to revise it because everyone was failing. Everyone means they just had too many failures.
So I remember one person who's now going to be a general around my age. He will be a general in about a year or two. My father reprimanding him over his stomach. So he said, my father's always been known for his fitness, both in the army and after. So he said, what's that tire on your stomach? He said, it's not my tires that are required on the battlefield, but my strategy. So he said, but you have to lead the men for whom you must set an example.
How nice is that?
But that is the whole point. So senior officers, it's acceptable for them to be pot-bellied. But look at the example they're setting. And then in the army, your one order is going to send people to die. The least you can do is do it by setting an example in physical fitness.
So we don't equate the two. We just think that, okay, it's cool. It's okay to be, gathering some amount with age. I wouldn't even worry too much about it. But yes, it should be
In
an
a
important,
performance-oriented
yes.
organization. Absolutely.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally, absolutely. And it's not only here, even sports. You look at our cricket team, they were very unfit until Virat Kohli came in.
And there's what's his name? The one with the chains, Hardik Pandya.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a cricket fan, so I think I will abstain from any comments on fitness or the lack of.
But you can see a visible change in them. They're far fitter,
I
far
think
better.
fitness and a certain aesthetic are sometimes perhaps used interchangeably.
Yeah.
So I've seen some really quick runners who are doing a half marathon in 145, 150. And they're really quick. But if you were to see them, you would think that they could
Drop
some weight.
Yes. So that's inflammation because they're doing everything right, but the body is still not responding. So they're not eating correctly.
Or maybe they're over-exercising because there's amount of...
Possibly. Yes.
Each long run leaves you with some amount of cortisol. And that's the other reason I have
100%.
stepped back from long-distance running.
Yeah.
Because I found that I was just constantly tired. I don't do anything more than 10 kilometers anymore. My last half marathon was just to prove a point that I can still run, which I ran untrained in 2 hours 15 or something last year in Bombay. But that was just because I just wanted to run free and just take in the beauty of the early morning run, go with the sea link and all that. But I find that in order to run a half marathon with a reasonably good timing that you would like, between 2 hours, 2 hours 5, 2 hours 10, you've got to train hard. What that means is you've got to run at least 4 days a week and do more than 10 kilometers each day. Now, with all these bodily changes that I'm thankfully aware of because of you, that level of cortisol in my body, which is constantly there, is not going to do me any good.
Absolutely.
So
And like on the point of the gut, too much of exercise will also is counterproductive to your gut.
But how is Virat Kohli so fit then?
Don't know his diet. He's gone off gluten and he's...
Oh, really?
Yeah. And on that point, most of the ultra athletes don't have gluten and wheat in their diet. And
why is that?
Novak Djokovic, in fact, wrote the book.
Yes.
Served to win based on his performance change when he just gave up that one thing.
Gluten.
Yes. And he continues to be world number 1.
Health, Nutrition and I with Ishi Khosla. Produced with support from the Illness to Wellness Foundation.
The message here would be that the gut is the seat of control. It is the control panel, and the microbiome is where everything gets, manipulated in your favor or out of favor, right from your iron, like you said, the hemoglobin levels, nutrition absorption, to your neurotransmitters and hormones. And coming back to the fact that, when we spoke about willpower, within a matter of 10 days to 2 weeks and sometimes even less, removing the trigger foods, as I call them, can just change the way and the volume of food that you eat. Not only your cravings, but you just get back in shape.
I want to talk about volume. So before I go to volume of food and portions, so there's two parts to food intake. The other learning that has really worked for me is identifying whether my lifestyle is active or not. But I want to come back to that. How would you say one can identify inflammation? What are the 3 or 4 signs of inflammation? For me to recap.
That's such an interesting question. The fact that are you suffering from any chronic problem? Are you having a skin problem or a hair problem or just a stamina problem, or you have any disease or any disorder or any symptom, is a sign of inflammation.
But gut inflammation.
But the inflammation, for everybody who's listening, starts in the gut and then travels to different parts of your body depending on your genetics. It will affect your liver. It can make it fatty. If it's a joint, it can make you, having painful joints or some kind of an arthritis. If it goes to your brain, it will cause a leaky brain and inflammation in your brain, and you can have mood swings and ADHD. And
but sign, or if you would if you say, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to break this down both for me and for those who are listening. 2 signs that your stomach is inflamed, because it starts there.
So here the question is, do you have to have digestive symptoms to have inflammation?
Because all Indians have IBS.
Either you have constipation, or you have loose tummy, or you have acid reflux, or you're bloated.
And that's inflammation.
Yes, I mean it's a sign of something going wrong inside, which is going to be inflammation, because the way it works is it changes your microbiome negatively. So the byproducts of that negative interaction with the food creates that leaky gut. I'm not using jargon here, but then the gut inflammation thins down the gut lining, unwanted toxic materials and undigested food goes into the bloodstream, which is not meant to be there, and that your body is going to fight. It's your it's like an alarm for your body to counter that. And it's like the virus. Everyone understands the virus, right? When the COVID happened, everyone knew that we're making antibodies to a foreign unwanted visitor in your system. So these are all unwanted visitors in your bloodstream, thanks to some change in your food or in your environment. And those antibodies are inflammatory. In COVID, it gave you acute inflammation, it gave you a lung problem, it landed up in your lungs and made you get COVID like a disease. But low-grade systemic inflammation is what we are referring to here, which is like every day, little bit of inflammation is happening. Every day, small amounts of fire. Inflammation is almost like to be understood like a fire, is going to be happening on a daily basis. So little bit perception may be there. Sometimes you don't know it, and it is damaging some part of your body. So it's so abstract for me to say that,
but
for anyone to understand.
But just to make it practical and bring it into the realm of relatability immediately.
Yeah.
Persistent water retention and persistent bloat is a sign of inflammation.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Of the stomach.
Yeah. Inability to gain weight, being too underweight, to the other spectrum, to gaining, not being able to lose weight, inability to regulate your food. Some people are just never full.
So there's an interesting thing. I spoke about what works for me is identifying whether my lifestyle is active or sedentary. So for years, I thought I had an active lifestyle because I work out 6 days a week and I walk my dogs and I'm generally active. The truly active lifestyle I've ever had was during COVID first wave. Actually, because I was on my feet. And how I learned this was, there's a friend of mine is a director in Bombay, and both of us are very very focused on learning new things about strength and mobility, and we're both the same age. And we wanted to calculate BMI. I mean, I wanted to get a trusted BMI regulator. He said, first go to this high performance website. I went there, and every question that you normally only have 1 off, this has about 10 off. What is your lifestyle? Otherwise, normally you just blindly think of active and sedentary. it defines what active is. And to my utter surprise, and I learned this only about 2 years ago, active is somebody who's on their feet 10 hours a day.
Exercises,
A waitress,
yeah.
no, not exercising, on their feet. Just because somebody exercises 1 hour a day, it does not give them an active
So
lifestyle.
it's, yeah, exercises is 10 hours
So-
a week. So that's what I was saying.
So yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. So 10 hours a week is not what's called an active lifestyle. An active lifestyle is a postman, a waitress, a flight stewardess, anybody who's labor, and who's got a manually
Your staff,
labor intensive job. You have to be on your feet, standing. Like a teacher could potentially have an active lifestyle.
Sure.
10 hours a day for it to count as an active lifestyle. And the moment you, because I mean, this is a, so every now and then I will go through a phase of a recalibration, because you feel like, I need to fix this, I've lost discipline, I've fallen off the wagon, let me quickly get back on. So I start logging and I start just looking at the details more than the sweeping generalizations. And that's when I saw that there was a difference of 200 calories in my BMR basis that single input. 200 calories.
So interesting. Yeah.
Because of me constantly, all these years, calling myself an active lifestyle person is because I exercise.
Yep.
So if you're going to exercise an hour a day and then spend the rest 12 hours sitting, you actually have a sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And sedentary from a standpoint of heart disease and blood pressure.
True. But, looking at the lifestyles today, everyone can't have that kind of active
So then
lifestyle.
they have to eat accordingly,
That's the point.
which is what I was coming to.
That's the
so
point.
these
Yes.
3 meals a day
is not for everybody.
is not for anybody who's not putting 10 hours on their feet every day.
Yes. So that's what I put in my book when I wrote The Eating at Work. And because I am pretty much in that category, right?
Sure.
And people were, oh, you eat only this, you eat only that. But I said, just look at what my work is all about. I am sitting. And how much can I, exercise and walk? And so for me, I need to respect my body's needs. And therefore, I put it as the 3 Ps. And the 3 Ps were proteins, address your protein intake, make sure at least 2 meals are centered around protein rather than carbs. The challenge is that I get my nutrients in that 1 or 2 meals. So
Right.
therefore, the protein centric, and then pair the proteins with some vegetables and some stuff which is protective. And the third is just dedicate 1 meal to protective foods, which could mean just vegetables or salads and your probiotics and vitamins and all of that. So dedicate 1 meal to that. And the cereal is missing in these 3 Ps, because the cereal is going to be decided basis who
On
you
demand.
are. I can have it in 1 meal, 2 meals, 3 meals, 1 portion, 2 portions, depending on what I choose. That's the critical one. And therefore we say it's personalized. So
Right.
nutrition cannot be just one size fit all. That's a very important message today for anyone who's listening.
I think especially when it comes to all this, I mean, I have friends reaching out to me who are my age who are like, so how much protein are you eating?
Yeah, that's another hype I got.
And this whole 30 grams per meal, I think that also needs to be deconstructed a little bit. If you're really lifting heavy, again, I think the strength piece is so important.
It's just so overdone.
But how much are you lifting?
Maths, no
Are
maths.
you looking to gain 10 pounds of muscle? Like pure muscle. Are you going to be competing on stage in an athletic or a bodybuilding competition? Then you have if you want to grow muscle mass,
Competitive
there's one
sport of any kind.
Any competitive
Yes,
sport.
yes.
But if you are looking to be just your regular self, do you need 180 grams of protein a day?
Not at all.
What is going to digest that? What's going to happen to the organ whose responsibility it is?
Can I just put it in one simple example here? And because I go through it every day, and all my colleagues and friends who are highly qualified are asking me this question, or we're discussing this, but I have a simple take on this. If you look at, say, the animals which you are eating, for that protein, could be the lamb or anything else or a fish, is doing no mathematics to make protein. We are eating muscle.
Okay.
We are eating muscle, right? We are eating lamb, goat meat. We are eating say fish, not all fish eat fish. Some are just eating plants. The goat is mostly eating greens. So the body is so capable of making protein out of non-protein material. What you're looking for is bulking up and that size and that performance, and for that you may need maths.
Supplementation.
And you may need the maths and the supplements.
Health, Nutrition and I with Ishi Khosla. Produced with support from the Illness to Wellness Foundation.
So, if you were to believe Instagram, the Americans are saying it's 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Some are saying it's 1 gram of protein per kilo of body weight. I tend to think it's 1 gram of protein per kg of ideal body weight.
That's the way it should be.
Okay.
But for almost 2 decades, I've been battling this equation because everyone who'd come from gyms would have this 1 gram per pound of body weight, ideal body weight.
That makes it 2 grams per kg of body weight.
Exactly. So nobody seemed to be making the
Cut.
the cut.
36 egg whites.
And therefore, those ridiculous things were happening. And I said, this equation is wrong. Please correct it. So now that it's happened, but still, they're still on this thing about needing more proteins, and protein powders are being peddled.
I mean, how would you sell protein powders if you didn't perpetuate this sort of
Yes.
grey zone of
Yeah,
how much
yeah,
protein you
yeah,
really
yeah,
need?
yeah. And I also feel somewhere it's industry driven, that we just making protein powders and protein vegan proteins and all of those things to be making those those to sell those kind of products.
But I think in defense of the brands, not to say that, I mean, they don't have some good in their intentions, I feel the quality of the food that we eat has degraded a bit. Today, everything is coming out of a packet. Let's go back to, the wheat that we grow at our farm. It used to, I have memories of my grandmother using this at 60 after
Really?
milking cows. And she was 64, 65.
She would have great muscles.
And she was never slim, but she used to get 2 buckets of milk from the cow shed. And this is like my grandfather retired as a colonel, and my grandmom and them having served in the army, and they came back to the farm life.
Wow.
And I would go hang with her, milk cows with her, but I could never carry those buckets because I was like 4 and 5. So she would the wheat was always done in the ghar wali chakki. So it was coarse. Now we are consuming atta coming out of a packet.
100%.
Everything's out of a packet. Our rice was stored in those, well, the fact that we are growing rice is another problem in Punjab and Haryana, but that's a different conversation for another edition. But the rice and the wheat used to be stored in these, what we wanted to consume for us, the rest of it was sold in the mandi, was kept in these giant silos in the house with a little thing at the bottom to take it out, and then jitna hame chahiye tha, we would make that. Sabzis were grown in the house. And I think very few things we purchased, like dals and all had to be purchased, but from the local people.
I see what you're saying. That
So
basically,
that is why
yeah.
perhaps supplementation requirement, both in protein and other supplements.
Certainly, like I said, in situations it is required, but in most normal situations, dietary protein is more than enough to make the cut. And there is a little downside on these protein powders. They can be pro-inflammatory. Since you talked so much about inflammation, they are people don't realize it because
Why
they
are
don't feel it.
Why are they? Why could they be
Because of
pro-inflammatory?
the way they are made, they're ultra processed, and sometimes they also have additives and contaminants. So that's really one of the reasons. And we see the impact on blood work. We see the impact on skins and general health. And some of these athletes and some of these people who suddenly sort of just have a cardiac event standing on a treadmill because they are inflamed. They don't even know it.
But because they're so top form physically,
Yes.
there's no telltale signs of inflammation.
That's what I was trying to tell you. Sometimes you're just like packaged so beautifully, but there's something going on inside. So what you put inside is squarely going to determine who you are at the end of the day.
Another question. I have a friend who always asks me, what supplements do I take? Yeah. And if she's watching this, she'll know who she is. And my advice to anybody is don't take supplements because you saw them on the internet.
200%. I
You
couldn't
have
second
to
that more.
spend the time, effort, and the resources to consult a nutritionist who spent time, effort, resources studying this particular branch of science to do this. Of course, you've given me supplementation now that my levels have sort of normalized. I take chromium, I take zinc, I take calcium citrate, I take vitamin D, I take mecobal. But then it's every alternate month you've given me a schedule, because someone who understands what supplementation is.
And test, don't guess.
And tests regularly, and magnesium. So I take all of this because I now have a schedule which you've given me, which has worked for me. But I think it's really important, I feel, to address the whole supplementation game as well, because now just like protein is being packaged as something which is a necessity for all of us, external protein supplementation, this supplementation space is also so grey. B, D3, zinc, magnesium,
It is being
calcium.
used but also being abused. And so, and a lot of people who say, every other day there's an article in the paper saying, you can go to the hospital with a supplement. Oh, that
What about the
doesn't
stuff
mean,
they're injecting?
yeah, but that doesn't mean supplements are all the same and everything is the same for everybody.
Sure.
Who's eating what? I wouldn't die of a B or C poisoning, but I can certainly have a problem with excessive vitamin A. So therefore, they need to be supervised, and therefore it's personalized. And one can't just, because I have these kind of conversations with my patients, and some of them say, can we not just do it with diet? We don't want to eat supplements. We just read that article. It just frightens people. But at the end of the day, we do need supplements in general. Most of us living a city life, urban life, we do need them. We are not in
Especially
the utopian.
perimenopausal women, because of depletion of chromium, magnesium,
Even
zinc.
children,
Alright.
Gul, even children, we are all, every time I do blood tests in populations who I'm dealing with in groups, not even one is normal. They're mostly critically low. So you can imagine the generations ahead, the future generations, vitamin D. I mean, if you have inadequate levels of vitamin D, your entire immune system, your skeletal system, everything is going to be impacted. What kind of kids are we going to grow up with? And that is again something to do with inflammation. We use up our vitamin D because of so much of inflammation. It is an anti-inflammatory agent in a certain way.
So are you saying that vitamin D, sorry to interrupt, are you saying that vitamin D levels being low is evidence of there being inflammation in the body because the D is being used up to fight inflammation at some level?
Yes. Or inadequate exposure, which is not the case in most of us in India.
Yeah, we have enough sunlight.
Yeah, and that's how my my tests for vitamin D began with my patients. Everyone I was testing low. And this one patient of mine who was suffering from Parkinson kind of early signs and symptoms. So I said, get your blood work done. You're getting all your x-rays, but do your blood work. And his level was like 7 or 5 or something like that. So, but he got blown up by his doctor that, who asked you to get this done? We are a land of sunshine. We don't have vitamin D.
And then did he show them the report?
And so he refused to believe the report. But then he said, oh my God, this lab we can't doubt. So, but then what? And then the same neurologist came back to me 2 years later and said, thank you for telling me, because I can treat 50% of my patients today with just vitamin D supplements. And that's a neurologist. So we have a lot of learning to do. And having said this, I also want you to know that when we're talking about magnesium, it is a very under-recognized supplement. Today, of course, thanks to the various reels and Instagram information.
And supplement making lobbyists.
Yes, it is being addressed, but don't test for magnesium in general unless, because magnesium levels in the blood will always be managed by the body. Body is very intelligent, and only when you're critically low does it fall. So a lot of people don't land up having magnesium supplements just because their blood work was okay. So let that be a part of your routine supplements under supervision of somebody, and they come as pairs, calcium and magnesium together. Another learning. So I think you have been through it.
Health, Nutrition and I with Ishi Khosla. Produced with support from the Illness to Wellness Foundation.
If there are two things you'd like to tell me about what you do in terms of food, for your skin, for your mood, and for your weight, Just two things.
Okay, 2 things for my skin. Fresh fruit and healthy portion of green vegetables, including but not limited to salad. In winter, a lot of citrus. I don't know if it works, but these are the 2 things I do for my skin. 2 things for my mood. I keep 2 things that I do for my mood in terms of what I eat is I regulate the consumption of sugar, because I find that I get really happy with sugar, and then a little while later I get cranky or want some more sugar.
That's so well said, yeah.
And also salt, because excessive salt, I love pickle, but I regulate the consumption of pickle down to like dessert. Like pickle is my dessert. I have this homemade pickle
really?
made by my bua. It's the best chili pickle ever. They cook the chilies. They don't pickle the chilies. They cook the chilies in a certain masala. It's like our family recipe.
And it's sweet.
It's sweetish, but it's obviously got very high salt. And I have it like once in 14 days as a treat with the right kind of sabzi. Because I find that next morning my face is like this big. So in Punjabi, there is Billy, which is the female, and the male is called Bagad Billa, which is the face is bigger. The same thing, but big version. And that's what my face becomes with excessive consumption of salt.
Salt, yeah.
And the only kind of spice and salt that I'll really take in excessive quantities will be in pickle. Otherwise, my food is very controlled. So limiting salt and limiting sugar is what makes me feel good. One other hack I have is I got a recipe for an anti-inflammatory tea that has cinnamon and ajwain and
So these are
saunf and 2-3 other things which are coarsely ground, and then just before having it I add a bit of ginger and a bit of lemon and a pinch of gharwali haldi, and I let it brew for 5 minutes,
Amazing.
and I drink that morning and evening. I'm trying, it's a new thing.
and that'll help you.
Let's see.
It also is like a diuretic if you add some zira in it.
Oh, jeera bhi hai usme. Correct, jeera bhi hai.
Yeah.
So I'm having that. So these are my quick fixes to
And for your body, what do you
food
do?
for the body.
Yes,
I mean,
everything.
um,
If there are 2 or 3 takeaways for the audience for how you manage your weight.
I eat keeping in mind my activity levels. I also eat keeping in mind my fuel consumption and the fuel need that I have in my day-to-day living. I think that's what determines the kind of food that I eat. But also I plan a little ahead. I don't like to be blindsided by the fact that मेरे पास कुछ खाने को नहीं है. So let me just find whatever is available.
Planning.
So I carry
Yes.
a snack with me at all times, which could be a couple almonds and cashews and some seeds. If I'm traveling, I will not eat airplane food because as someone who has intimate exposure to the airline industry, it is highly avoidable for reasons that are not worth going into in this conversation. So I will, it's packed and uplifted hours before it's served. So that in itself is problematic. I will carry something on the plane. I will also, if I'm traveling and I want to eat light, I will carry some almond milk. I will carry my powder, which is date powder, til powder, and moringa powder in equal proportion, 1 teaspoon. And I carry like a frother, which somewhat works like a mixer. So it's with me at all times in my bag, that in the event that I get delayed in my
How
knapsack.
smart is that?
It's always with
It's
me.
about the capital P.
Yeah,
So please
planning.
add another
It's
P
like
to the
how
3
you do it
Ps.
with kids.
Yeah.
Like you have to feed the child before the child
That
is
was
hungry.
going to be my next question.
Hangry.
So
Ito-
how do you, as a young mother of a kid who's just about 8?
7. He's going to be 8, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us some tips for mothers and how you manage your child's diet and how you manage the kitchen. What are the things that you do in terms of shopping, the larder, and what you feed them?
So we have no aerated drinks at home. My son has not tasted Coke,
Really?
Pepsi, Fanta, anything which just comes out of he just hasn't.
And does he demand it?
But how can he demand what he doesn't know? And then when he goes and he's offered, he's like, that's not good for me.
Oh,
'Cause
nice.
he's heard us say this again and again.
And the school reinforces it.
And it's a good school, and the school
Shivnada,
reinforces it.
yes.
So no excessive access to sugar. I've not added sugar to any of his food from the time he began eating. He's allowed one ice cream a week, but he doesn't ask for it. Sometimes he'll ask for it, but oftentimes he won't even ask for it. If he asks, he gets it on demand, but once a week. The demand can only be fulfilled once a week. Just like he gets to watch screen once a week only. He doesn't get unrestricted access to the screen because he just gets mesmerized and it gets very stimulated.
That is absolutely awesome.
So Friday night and
So
Saturday
all
night.
of this is remotely managed, huh?
No, I mean,
Considering your hectic schedules.
I'm with him between his dad and his Didi. We have a very sort of regimented schedule. But when it comes to food, he doesn't see us consuming things like packaged foods in terms of wafers, potato chips, and all that like stuff that comes out of packets as such. He
So
sees
role
us.
model-
So
more
I think
role
what I've
models.
also learned is the strongest lessons are the ones that have stayed with me because I saw them being lived and exemplified by my father.
That's so important.
So he has a trail mix in the morning when he wakes up. He eats normal dal, sabzi, roti, chicken, fish. He has an evening meal, which is usually what we eat, which is high protein, or rather protein with some vegetables. And he does eat. He eats pasta. He eats bread. He eats all the usual food. But what do we have in our house, which is like for snacking? Fruit. He likes cucumber, so if he's really hungry, then he'll go and ask for cucumber to be sliced and given. So he's figured out what is the food that works for him. But
That is
I think
so
the big
interesting.
wins have been so far have been no access to. No, not okay. I wouldn't say access. No introduction and forcing sugar just because he needs to have cereal. Chini bhi dal do. And this came with a significant
So
amount
you're
of
training the
opposition from
palate.
both my mother-in-law and my mother. They were like,
Yeah.
"We gave you, so he can also have." I said, "Yes, and I have a sugar addiction."
Yeah.
which I've worked so hard to fight.
And so you're training his palate early.
Yes. So now I'm often afraid because when he's on his birthday, when we're cutting the cake, there's a high possibility he won't eat it. His own cake. I'm like, can you take a bite? No, it's not good for me. I don't want it.
How nice is
So I think his palate to a large extent is trained with fairly, I wouldn't say bland, but a very conservative amount of salt and sugar.
So I'm going to stamp that with the one-liner, you are what you eat. And cannot be more true when you're exemplifying that so beautifully through a child, not even through an adult.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean, he's got to make his own choices. But
Yeah.
everybody said, oh, wait till he starts
But
going
the
to
early
birthday
days are
parties.
very important.
Wait till he starts eating out. He doesn't ask for those things that he doesn't.
He's already ate.
Yeah, I mean,
he's already exposed to that life. And if
He
he's
doesn't want
still,
to.
Yeah. So another few years and these habits are for life.
I hope so.
Yes. But, and he sees merit in it, right? And he will see more merit as he grows.
I hope so.
So that is so amazing. And does he not fuss for when he goes down grocery shopping or to a mall or something to buy that ice cream?
No,
or
he
that?
buys milk. I don't know why. He just goes to the milk counter and picks up a packet of milk. Mama, can we have this milk? I just don't understand this. And I'm like, we have milk at home. Mama, can we take Amul Gold?
That's
He
the
just picks
Punjab
up,
in
and
him.
it's not the Tetra pack. It's the flexible
glass
pack.
one, the plastic one.
Every time we go, he wants to pick up dahi and milk.
How sweet is that?
That's his only contribution. He doesn't pick up. I mean, we will do ice cream. We have a brick that comes in, which is supposed to last him, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Vanilla
So it's
ice cream.
rationed.
It's highly
controlled.
rationed. But then
So-
also we emulate the same behavior. It's not
Yes.
like I'm
That is
telling
a
him,
very
you
important
can't
one.
have ice cream, but
But I
I'm going
will
to have
have
ice
it.
cream.
That just doesn't
You
work.
can't have aerated drinks, but I'm going to have them every day.
Yeah.
So we do sit down together as a family to have, drinks once or twice a week. But that'll be like, he likes to drink Perrier.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to say.
I think he needs to take my place.
So he's like, I'd have some Perrier, please.
He
And I'm like, you can
he
just have
be
soda.
such a good spokesperson.
I'm like, you can just have soda. It's 1/5 the cost. But I think he likes the bottle.
Yeah, but you don't know what you're doing. You're junk proofing him.
He
That's
does this
why.
by choice. Yeah.
He's junk proofed.
And if he knows all the brands of sparkling water, and if they say, sorry, we don't have Perrier, then would you have Pellegrino? And I'm like, what are these expensive tastes you've picked up?
That is
But
so
he's
amazing.
seen us do it.
Yeah.
And then he now emulates it. Then if that's not, they said, chalo phir I'll have club soda.
Yeah, but the thing is, I have genuinely two issues which I experience with my patients is larger families where there are multiple kids,
Yeah.
and that exposure becomes sometimes difficult when your
Right.
grandparents are giving it to you and
Yeah.
you're not giving it, and when everyone's not on the same page, it becomes a bit hard.
I think if parents lay down the ground rules, I find that extended family will respect it. My cousin who's his godmother, she'll always ask me, "Can we give him some chocolate?" And I'm like, "Yes, but in controlled
But it
quantities."
requires, I think, deeper sensitivity levels.
Because I think in our culture, pyaar and laad, pyaar is
It's also
khilao,
food, yeah.
or meetha sab khilao.
Bilkul. That's it.
So
That's a shift in thinking that needs to come. And I
But
think
again, that's also
the government is
accessibility.
doing that. Now the government's step on taxing sugar and giving sugar is it's like out there now. Nobody's contesting it. Will help in shaping at least a different mindset
And the
among
push
even
for
the
millets
adults.
by the Prime Minister.
Yes. Big one. I mean, he really cannot say don't eat this, but he's telling you to eat the right stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think those steps are also really important, and celebrities endorsing the right messages are really critical for the health of individuals and our nation and the world together, because in a certain way we have a health crisis today, starting from childhood to adulthood now.
Oh, yes.
And to the seniors. So this is absolutely fascinating, and I didn't know so much about the way you were handling your kid. It is so enlightening because I have a grandkid, and I see these challenges all the time. He laughs and he teases me when I say don't have sugar, so he'll pick up a candy and say, "I'm eating this," so he's going to tease me saying that, and. But the awareness is there,
Yeah.
and when he hears it in school, it's compounded.
It's
that
reinforced.
Whatever the dadi is saying is not untrue.
Yeah.
The word I always also use is wrestling with your willpower. If you eat right and put in the right stuff, you just don't need an ecosystem where you're just going to be fighting it. It'll just come naturally to you. You'll buy the right stuff. You'll be choosing the right things, and even if you're partying, socializing, traveling, celebrating, it will be with you.
I think, yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So thank you, Gul. This was absolutely delightful, and a conversation which I really hope helps many others who are listening.
Health, Nutrition and I with Ishi Khosla. Produced with support from the Illness to Wellness Foundation.
So I want you to sign my book. I have a copy, but I don't have a signed copy. Last time I was here, you gave me one, but I want it signed, please. May I request you to sign it?
So did you find it useful?
Very. I think most people overcomplicate their lives by thinking too much and consuming too much information, which is perhaps not accurate in this viral world, especially if it's coming from social media.
You can't be more right. Absolutely. There you go.
Thank you.
Look forward to another episode of HNI. Thank you for watching.
Health, Nutrition and I with Ishi Khosla. Produced with support from the Illness to Wellness Foundation.